First of all, I want to thank you all for your generosity. Today was an excellent day. The weather started out rough. We pulled together as a group. You guys arrived. Excellent food. Best meal I've had here. So that love that you guys show us is what keeps us going. Truthfully, amazed by that.
That's great.
So thank you to all of you.
Praise the Lord.
I was born and raised in Philadelphia. At a young age, sports were what I ran to. I have a father who is very tough, and a mother who, sort of looked the other way for most of my younger years. They're still together, still married. I have 2 younger brothers, and as the oldest, it was my responsibility to protect my brothers at all costs. It didn't matter. That was my role in my family. So from a very young age, I started fighting. That's what I knew. I knew anger, I knew aggression, I knew fighting. If you messed with my little brothers, you had to come through me. And I carried that mentality for a long time. I didn't care how big you were, it didn't matter. I would go through you any way I could. So I carried that for a long time. I was very, very fortunate to be a skilled wrestler, so I followed sports. By the age of 13, I was no longer allowed in public schools in the city of Philadelphia. So my parents moved me out of the city. I continued wrestling. I found painkillers at 14, 15 years old. I was hooked immediately. It began probably right away, but I was good at covering it up. I was very good at hiding, manipulating. School came pretty easy for me, so there were never really any signs. I took a college wrestling scholarship, and from there my life spiraled out of control. By the time I was 20, I lost a full ride. I got caught with drugs, and that was the end of my free reins. So I was sent to a treatment center down in Florida. I manipulated my way through there just as I had done my whole life. I came home, my parents thought I was better, and I went back to doing exactly what I was doing. I went to a smaller school, continued to wrestle, continued to use drugs, but at that point it had progressed. I was now a full-blown heroin addict and a full-blown alcoholic who would do whatever you put in front of me. I continued to excel at sports even though I was down almost 50 pounds. I cheated, I manipulated, I lied, whatever I could do. I ended up graduating from college. I came home and my younger brothers went to my parents again, told them what I was doing, and again I was off to another treatment center. From there, I had a little bit of time sober. I wasn't really working a program though. I would say I was going to AA meetings, but I was really going on dates with women or just driving around in my car doing what I wanted to do. But in the meantime, I got a job on the railroad, working right outside of Philadelphia. And, at that point, I figured I could start drinking again. So that's what I did. I fooled myself into thinking that I was okay and I could control this and I'm going to do this my way. And so that lasted for a little while. And I ended up getting arrested for a DUI. And then while I was on probation for that, I got into a fight where I injured somebody with brass knuckles, so that didn't go over very well. I spent some time in jail where I met my ex-fiance who was my correctional officer. So for the last 5 years, I was dating her. We both started using again. She was using pills, I was using heroin. My drinking progressed. I caused a wreck on the railroad as an engineer.
Oh my goodness.
I fell asleep behind the control stand of a locomotive and ran my train into another one. So I have FRA violations. So the railroad sends me to treatments, and they send you to top-of-the-line treatment centers all over the country. So I would get kicked out of one for fighting or fooling around with females, and I did this for the last 2 years. I would essentially use my insurance to get me to a different city. I would stay in the treatment for a little bit, and I would get myself kicked out. And then I would run around that city for a little while. I've been homeless all over the country. I've been homeless in Oakland. I've been homeless in Cleveland. I've been homeless in Philadelphia. I've been homeless in Florida. I've been homeless in Tennessee. Miserable, absolutely miserable. It got to a point for me where I would wake up so sick and I didn't want to do anything. I knew what I was going to go through with my withdrawals, and I would rather just not move because I couldn't handle it anymore. So finally it got to a point, I was a wreck. I was in and out of the hospital because I kept overdosing, kept getting sick. The doctors wanted to cut my arm off. My parents had kept insisting that I come to TLC, and I said, no way. No way am I going to a year program. I could still do it on my own. I was still strong enough to beat this on my own. It just had to be on my terms when I was ready. That was the trick that I had in my head. So eventually, I had no other options. I had played every card I could. My parents stopped speaking to me, and the only reply I would get to them is, if you want our help, you'll go to TLC. So finally, I had to give in. So I went to a detox center, and what do you know? I get myself kicked out a day before I'm supposed to show up at TLC. So I do the next best thing. I go into Kensington, and I overdose.
Not good.
And I wake up with 2 police officers standing over top of me, telling me that my heart stopped and they've hit me with 2 shots of Narcan and adrenaline to get me going again. And that still wasn't enough. I overdosed again later that night. And the second time, when I woke up, I had a moment of clarity where I realized this can't go on any longer. You know, this really cannot happen any longer. So I made it through the night, and I texted my dad and called him first thing in the morning and said, can I still go to TLC? Will they accept me? I said, you need to get here now because I don't know how long I'll be able to wait for you to get here. And one of my best friends had just graduated from TLC. That's how my parents had found out about this place. So his dad drove and picked me up on the streets of Philadelphia, and they drove me up here. I walked into this place blind. I've never had a religious or spiritual background. My family doesn't go to church except for Christmas and Easter. I did not know that you could not smoke cigarettes. I did not know that there was no women around. I did not know that I was going to be stuck on a mountain with a bunch of men living in a dorm. But in all honesty, this is the greatest experience that I have ever had in my life. The love that I have here is genuine. Amen. These people truly care for me, and that is something that I never thought I'd experience. Our graduate the other night, his message was, are you worth it? Are you worth it? And for the longest time, I was not worth it. But today, I am worth it.
Yeah,
today, I deserve to be standing up here in front of each
Praise
and every
the Lord.
one of you.
Thank you, God.
I could not be in a better place with better people and be this strong anywhere else. I'm committed to a year here. There's nothing that's going to change that. And I just want to thank all of you for letting me speak. Real quick, Matthew 7:12. This was the first thing I opened my Bible to when I got here. The golden rule. So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them. For this is the law and the prophets. Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction. And those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life. Those who find it are few. Thank you.
Mike.